8:11 a.m. Quad Cities News Talk 1420 WOC. Good morning. It's Dan and Dan. Labor Day weekend means in the district, downtown Rock Island, you're going to be hearing a lot of loud engines, a lot of high-pitched noises, and that's kart racing, baby.
And that's just from the bars.
Oh. It's kart racing back in downtown Rock Island. It is the Xstream Rock Island Grand Prix. Roger Ruthhart is the president of the Grand Prix, joining us this morning. Roger, how are you?
Great. Good to be here again.
When do they start setting up the course?
Well, it'll start sort of Wednesday and Thursday, but people won't really start to see any real evidence of the streets being closed and that until late Friday.
I think
that's kind of the problem. You can't really close down the streets that
no,
quick.
And there's a lot of preparation. So it's about a 10-day process to get it all set up and taken down. It's just not all of it happens,
right?
Visibly.
A lot of hay bales.
No hay bales anymore.
Yeah, they don't do the hay bales.
No, thank goodness for that. We use all plastic barriers that we rent and truck in from who knows where. So
from the plasticbarriersupply.com.
Exactly.
Right?
That's part of the logistical challenge of doing a race through the city streets.
I told last year, I think I told you this when we had you on, and I said, a few years back when we moved back home, I had friends saying, you got to go to this Grand Prix. You got to go down and check this thing out. And I said, I'm not going to go watch a bunch of people riding around carts in downtown Rock Island. I said, that sounds ridiculous. And then one of them dragged me to it, and it was probably the most fun event that I've had ever downtown Rock Island. It's fantastic to watch these guys flying in these carts. This is not, you're not talking about somebody doing 15, 20 mile an hour. This is not your go-kart at, the Pirate Cove,
No, not at all.
This thing, these guys are crazy to watch how fast these things move through the streets of downtown Rock Island.
Yeah, we have a new naming rights sponsor this year, Mediacom, and it's become the Xstream Rock Island Grand Prix powered by Mediacom. And it's so ideal because of the high-speed, involvement. It's probably the best extreme sport event we have in the Quad Cities, and it's crazy. And as you said, a lot of the races will get up close to 100 miles an hour through the city streets. So these are go-karts that are made not for putting around your backyard. They're made for racing. Some of them have a 6-speed transmission, and they go really fast.
And the thing is, your butt's, about 2 inches off the ground,
yep.
if that, and you're going almost 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You talk about a sensation of speed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, in the past, you've had all kinds of different divisions, and you've had some pretty big names run these things because kids, especially of some famous fathers, the kids, they get their start. A lot of NASCAR, a lot of IndyCar.
Sure.
All start out racing go-karts, these karts. So you never know who you're going to see at these races.
No, kart racing is a sport unto itself. There's a lot of people that get into it young and race. We have one guy that's racing, and he's 70. So it is a sport unto itself, but it's also a great place for people who aspire to be, professional race car drivers, to learn the craft, to learn, how to be part of a team, what the racing lines are, all that sort of thing. So, we've had people like Graham Rahal and Connor Daly who are racing in IndyCar now. They've raced here. Scott Speed, who was in Formula One for a while and now has been through a number of different other races, but he's a, autocross or whatever champion.
Yep.
And so you don't know who you're going to see. There will be people there that you might be watching on TV someday.
Yeah, I think Marco Andretti. Danica Patrick got her start in karts. Yeah,
a lot of them did, especially the open wheel racers, but a lot of the NASCAR drivers too. That's where they learned the basics of how to race.
In the kart world itself, this is also a pretty big race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the the bigger standalone national events. There are some series that are held across the country, but in terms of the big races is probably one of the top two, and it's something that everybody aspires to. I mean, for a lot of these people, they are they go out to a racetrack in the middle of a cornfield and race, and nobody's watching but mom and dad and girlfriend maybe. So for them, to come and race in front of thousands of people in a community like the Quad Cities and all the things that we have to do when the racing's done, they bring their families, they have family reunions, they bring their sponsors, they bring all their friends, and so it's a big event. It's not your typical weekend kart race.
How much does it? Let's say I decide I'm gonna start racing karts and I want to get into this thing. What would it cost to put together a team and a kart and all this kind of stuff? I mean, this is not your this is not a $2,000
you're not gonna go down and
hobby
get
on the
no,
weekend.
you're not going to
right?
get a $500 go-kart.
No, but it's when you compare it to all the other forms of motorsports, it's pretty economical. I mean, it's if you're going to go out and buy a go-kart you could probably do it for $5,000, or a late model. The choice is pretty clear if you have limited finances. So we do have one group that's running, actually a senior group and a junior group that is racing a package that Margay Racing out of St. Louis put together. It's a chassis, a Briggs & Stratton motor, and Bridgestone tires, and you can get into it for under $5,000. And it's a sealed motor, so your competitors you're racing against aren't taking their motor apart and trying to make it faster and all that. It's just a basic entry level thing, and it's just taken off huge all over the country. So that'll be something to watch this weekend. They'll have a huge contingent of racers and a big tent and all that, and they're
there you go, Dan.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe
I
next year.
think that's you.
Maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little too late to get in.
It's a fun sport to get into, but it's also physically demanding, as you mentioned earlier. So the faster you go, the bigger the bumps are and things like that. So
I was surprised when I drove at that time how challenging it was. When you're going in those turns at speed, it's like you got to crank that wheel.
Yeah, you do, and even if people have raced at an indoor track, you get a sense of how tired your hands and forearms get just at the low speeds and that of racing indoors. So multiply that by 10 times for going out and racing on a real racetrack.
I know if you come out, you can watch the races during the day, and at night, of course, it's Labor Day weekend in the district, and always great entertainment down there. I know the Travoltas are down there.
Travoltas are back this year, Saturday and Sunday night, and it's always the best thing about the event from the spectator perspective is it's free.
Yeah.
And we have people that will come down for an hour or so and leave, or wander around all day looking for different, the best spot to watch the racing. There's people that will tailgate all weekend, and you can bring a lawn chair and a pop-up and stay out of the sun. And you'll see a lot of families down there. It's great fun. We have a car show and some other events going on Sunday. So, it really is a great way to spend part of your Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it's become a huge thing for downtown Rock Island, and it's a lot of fun. Like I said, if you've never seen it, trust me, you're gonna witness this the first time, and you're never gonna want to miss it again.
It's really cool.
It's amazing to watch. So, and again, like you mentioned, I was about to say, how do you get tickets? You don't need tickets; it's free.
No, I mean, if you want to get in the pits, there's a $10 pit pass, but basically, it's free. Just come down and enjoy it. There's vendors and all kinds of other stuff to do down there. So, it really is something everybody ought to experience. It's really professional racing at a grassroots level and right here in our community. And as you said, you mentioned the Rock Island Grand Prix to some of the NASCAR and IndyCar guys, and they'll nod their head. They all know about it. So
so cool.
It's a cool event. You're right.
All right, RockIslandGrandPrix.com is the website if you want some more information on that, like starting times and schedules and things. But just basically show up. It's free. You'll enjoy it. Trust me on
You'll
this
have
one.
a good
And those
time.
pit passes, by the way, we're about to give away a family 4-pack of those pit passes with our history quiz coming up here in just a few moments. So, Roger, good to see you again. Excited for another Grand Prix this weekend, and we'll probably have you back next year before the next one. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's Roger
Thanks,
Ruthhart,
Roger.
the president of the Rock Island Grand Prix. It is 8:19. This is Dan and Dan at AM Quad Cities.